Good afternoon, everybody. David Shuster here, along with Daniel Marins and the entire team of Take Action News. A special shout out to all of our syndicated stations that are listening to us across the country and around the world. This is the program we like to tell you what's going on in the news and what you can do to influence outcomes. And one of the great foreign policy challenges of our time involves the Middle East, particularly the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The United States has always, well, for decades, has been especially close to Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East. And there was President Obama over the past week making his first trip as president to the nation of Israel. It comes at a fascinating time when Israeli leaders, Israeli people are very concerned about the growing threat from Iran's potential nuclear program. And that was the main topic for a series of meetings that President Obama had with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Here's what the Israeli Prime Minister said in his news conference with President Obama. Listen.
Diplomacy and sanctions so far have not stopped Iran's nuclear program. In order to stop Iran's nuclear programs peacefully, diplomacy and sanctions must be augmented by a clear and credible threat of military action.
Clear and credible threat of military action. So was the United States prepared? Was the United States prepared to give Israel that talking point by declaring that military option would be on the table, that it is a credible option the United States takes quite seriously? Well, the President Obama, said that he still believes in diplomacy with Iran, but he added this.
But
the United States will continue to consult closely with Israel on next steps, and I will repeat, all options are on the table. We will do what is necessary to prevent Iran from getting the world's worst weapons.
Iranian.
Now, that seemed to be what the Israelis wanted to hear, that the United States, of course, is going to consult closely with Israel. There may be some disagreement between the United States and Israel over where the red line is in terms of how much time does Iran really need to develop a nuclear weapon. But the Israelis, again, they're asking for the United States to provide a clear and credible military threat into the equation if Iran does not cooperate and stop their nuclear weapon program. And the president appeared to give the Israelis what they were wanting. The president also gave the Israelis a little bit of breathing room when it comes to another thorny issue, and that is the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Going up to this trip, the president had said that it was incumbent upon the Israelis to stop their settlement building in the occupied territories, that in order for the peace talks to continue, Israel would have to stop building settlements. The president did not say that on this particular trip. He simply said that continued building of settlements would be detrimental, but he said that peace talks should continue regardless. And he put a special burden on the Palestinians, who are frustrated with the Israeli building of these settlements, to go ahead and start the talks anyway. In the midst of talking about all of this and talking about the great bonds and closeness between the United States and Israel, the president spoke to Israeli students in Jerusalem. The president decided not to speak to a joint session of parliament, but instead to speak directly to the youngest generation of students in Israel. Perhaps some symbolism there, because so many people think that it is that generation, not the older generations, but the younger generation, that will ultimately have the responsibility to try to fix this conflict, because perhaps too much blood has been shed by older people